Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And I think we should all thank very much Maxine for that wonderful speech. She gave that wonderful talk before I came up to speak. I'm particularly grateful because I'm actually feeling especially tired and not up to making a very long speech, but I thought that was so comprehensive as a disposition of the issues. I agreed with every word, and luckily I don't have to add too much more. It's delightful to see you all again, and before I talk about Julian, I just want to mention one person. I'm going to mention two people who have sadly died, and the first one who has died since I last met with a crowd of Julian supporters was Clive Ponting, and the people closer to my age here will remember Clive as the whistleblower who explained that the General Belgrano was not a threat to the Malvinas at the time it was sunk and was actually steaming away from the Malvinas. And Clive, unlike the process Julian has been going through, and frankly, unlike the process I am going through, Clive had the benefit of a jury at his trial. And even though, plainly, in terms of the law, he was guilty under the Official Secrets Act, the jury refused to convict him, even though directed by the judge to convict him and told there was no public interest defence. The jury of good, ordinary people refused to convict Clive Ponting for his heroic act of whistleblowing. Clive strongly supported Julian, and I'm very sorry Clive, who was, if you like, the doyen of British whistleblowers, is no longer with us. I also want to say that it is a very bad thing and completely immoral ever to be happy when anybody dies, no matter who they are. So when I say Donald Rumsfeld, nobody is to smile. But at the end of the day, we all come, as Mr. Rumsfeld discovered, no matter how high, how powerful, or how wealthy. We all come to the end of our lives, and it's important at that stage to look back and see whether you did good or bad in the world. And I think it's important that there are people in this world like Julian who are prepared to risk everything, to risk their life, their liberty, to risk everything to take a stand for freedom and for public knowledge. Julian made it possible for people to know more than they have ever known before about how government truly operates. Julian drew back the curtain, and Julian swept away the media gatekeepers and gave the public direct knowledge of what government really does, and people saw how black and dark and filthy so much of that was, and that's why Julian has been silenced these years in a process which you've heard eloquently explained how unjust that process is. One thing I have learned is that the law is an instrument of control by government, and law has nothing to do with justice. The two concepts are completely separate. And what has been happening to Julian is appalling. He is a good man. He has done nothing but give information to the public which those in power do not want you to know. It's over 5 months since I was in that courtroom and heard the judge say that his extradition was denied and he should be released. And yet he's still in a maximum security prison, despite the fact the ruling is he shouldn't be extradited, and he's never been convicted of anything.
Free Assange!
It's quite extraordinary that this goes on, and the High Court still haven't decided whether or not to accept the United States appeal against his extradition, let alone set a date for the hearing of that. In all this time, he remains in a maximum security jail. This is becoming absolutely intolerable. It's been intolerable for a while, but it is now a completely naked abuse of power. I remain optimistic. I still believe, genuinely, that we will see Julian released from Belmarsh this year.
Yes!
I believe that's going to happen.
Yes! I hope
Free
so.
Assange!
I worry what happens then. My expectation is he will be arrested under immigration detention for overstaying his visa. At which point
Free Assange!
he's quite likely to be deported to Australia, where the Americans can apply to extradite him and he can be imprisoned all over again. Getting him out of Belmarsh and crushing this current extradition process. My friend Laurie Love, for example, won his case against extradition to the United States. In consequence, he can't come visit me in Scotland, because as soon as he entered Scotland, the United States would be likely to enter an extradition request for him in Scotland, and he could be jailed again pending the hearing of that extradition request. And there's until such time as the United States actually drops the charges against him, and we've heard today how many of them have now, which we all knew to be fake, have now been shown and admitted to be fake. But until such time as the United States drops the charges against him, getting Julian out of Belmarsh is, if you like, the first step towards securing his freedom and his ability to operate in a country which respects truth and respects democracy and respects open information, and which will allow Julian to function not just as a human being, but to function in his leadership role in the information and democratic revolution which we all need to continue to take forward. So it's a struggle. The struggle goes on. I can't pretend we're winning so far, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting, and we will continue the fight. And it is so heartwarming. There are many people now who I think hardly anyone here I knew a couple of years ago, and there are people here now who I'm becoming really quite close friends with, and that community of solidarity is what keeps us going, and Julian knows he has that, and it's what helps keep him going. So I'm very grateful to you all, and thank you.
Thank you.